strengthen relations between traditional leadership institutions, promote unity and cooperation among South Africa's royal houses, and to exchange views on matters of mutual interest affecting traditional leadership, nation building, social cohesion, and socio-economic development communities. It goes on to say that during his engagement with the former president, the Majesty will reflect on issues of national importance, including governance, leadership, and the role of traditional leaders in supporting democracy and the development of South Africa. The meeting will also provide an opportunity to draw on the former president's experience in advancing dialogue and stability within the country. Among other central issues to be discussed is the King's visit to Israel, and then it says the meeting with His Majesty, King Misuzulukazi Welithini. They will focus on reinforcing the historic bonds between the Abathembu and the Zulu nations, fostering collaborations between the two houses and discussing shared challenges. It says that King Dalindyebo views the working visit as part of ongoing commitments to constructive engagement, respectful dialogue, and partnership in advancing the interests of traditional communities. So maybe just from you, Chief, with regards to the statement that has been put out by the Abathembu Royal Kingdom on the back of that visit to Israel, and also with some of the other houses coming out that they were not in support of that. What do you make of this then visit to the KZN province, particularly with the former president and with the Zulu King?
Good morning to you, my sister, and good morning to all your viewers. Thank you for the opportunity. Well, the visit of His Majesty to Israel has sent a shocking wave in the Africa and also in the diaspora, and actually almost tore apart the royal family itself and the people of Abathembu and all the people of South Africa for various reasons. Because the King Buyelekhaya is coming from a family that is deeply rooted in the struggle for liberation of this country. He himself has been part of that struggle, being a member of the MK at one point and deployed by the ANC in parliament. And his father died in exile. And so is regarded with high esteem, as that's where Mandela come from, and that family is well known of its support for liberation and human rights of the people. And then the question of him visiting Israel and saying what is alleged to have said in the media really has, in a way, tainted the image of the institution, as well as, of course, the image of that valued royal family, as well as our country. As you may know, our country has been to the International Court of Justice in support of people of Palestine. And clearly, therefore, it has raised some concern. We have been alerted, and we resisted the temptation of actually coming in as an organization. But the royal families, the senior royals, have been in contact with us, but we did actually advise that there is a need for quite diplomacy here, with a view to really advise His Majesty the King, because we know His Majesty the King is one of the very bright stars in our traditional, in terms of intellect, and of course has been abused for quite some time from early ages and things like that. We understand. And at one point, he was incarcerated by his own government, and of course after that he was taken by the DA, and that actually also threw him like a used condom, as well as, of course, has been taken by the EFF, and now EFF also is throwing him away. But as far as we're concerned, we still love him, and we still think that he can make a role, and his namesake, Buyelekhaya, we think that he will have to come back to his political home, and with a view then to do what he needs to do. And the stance been taken by senior royals to engage, I think, is a very positive one. We support it, and that he wants also to engage even the then our president and the King, Mrs. Zulu.
Right.
It's one of the things that he can do, and we have no problem. But we are of the view that all those engagements will therefore lead him to really support the people of South Africa in maintaining, of course, the stature of this country, which has been articulated by our president and all the people of South Africa, especially as regards the Palestinian question, with a view that Palestinians and Israelis can come together, and because we need world peace, and we need the end of genocide on all sides. And I'm sure then as the king, which is part of the institution of traditional leadership, to unite people and to unite countries, I think is our values we can support.
Most certainly, Chief. I mean, when we look at this statement and the Abathembu King speaking there, that his engagement with the former president is going to look, particularly from drawing from the former president's experience in advancing dialogue. And we saw earlier this year in July, in fact, the former president then visited Morocco, and this was in showing his support and his stance on Western Sahara with regards to Morocco. And that was quite controversial, with him going there with the South African flag. Maybe just to get your views with regards to traditional leaders, particularly with King Dalindyebo, making political or diplomatic statements that are often seen as contradicting to national policy or democratic policies. Do you think that there are enough accountability mechanisms in place in order for this to be called to order?
As traditional leaders, we say, long live the king, and whatever king is saying is always right. But we know underneath that statement that there is a duty upon us as traditional leaders to advise our kings correctly, particularly with the councillors as well. Hence, the issue of quiet diplomacy is taking place. So that whatever king is doing, whatever king is saying, because there was something that is said, of course, within the EFF rally in Cape Town recently, which really offended the president and the province when he articulated certain things against the premier, our premier in the province, and things like that. And we hope then that with the elderly people of Abathembu, talking to him, and ourselves talking to him, because we're in good terms as an organization with him. And we hope, therefore, that this delegation that he has established to engage is going to actually repair the damage that has been caused by what actually has happened. And we can only pray and hope that is not going to jump from political party to another political party, because to us, he has been to this party, to that other party, and been thrown. Hence, we would be concerned if it's political, but if we want to talk to an elderly statesman like our ex-president Zuma, there's no problem about that. Talking to the king, there's no problem about that. Talking to everyone else, there's no problem about that. With a view of actually repairing the damage that has been caused, that we'll be praying. Because the people of South Africa, as well as Abathembu people, they are divided on this issue. And we love him very much, and we cannot disclaim him at all. Hence, we're of the view that all these processes will lead to one thing only, that will come back home, and so that he can really articulate views of his people, as well as the views of this country, and support our government in progressive stance that is taking in a view to improve the legacy that has been left.
Most certainly.
By other people, and particularly for his father, King Dalindyebo himself, who was very key and one of the leaders that we looked upon when we were struggling for liberation in this country.
Right. So Chief, lastly, I mean, what do you think with regards to traditional leaders, and particularly when it comes to their responsibility to uphold the moral and historical legacies of their communities?
Well, traditional institution is the last line of defense of the struggling masses of this country. And we are not yet there. It's not yet Uhuru, and therefore we are key. Hence, we, being of course led by our kings, is very, very important that we must be united and that we must actually act and actually say things that promote unity rather than division, and assist our government. If the government is going astray, and be able to tell the government in no uncertain terms that it must come to the course that was set up by our forebears, because the National Democratic Revolution was started by our forebears as far back as 16th century, and we can ill afford that it's going to be derailed by anyone, any of the political parties. Hence, therefore, it is very, very critical what we do as traditional leaders, because our people see themselves through us. If we act in any way that they may lead them to disclaim us, it will be unfortunate. Hence, it is very, very key and critical that our kings and all our traditional leaders behave in a manner in which CONTRALESA is saying that we must be united in this country. We are the institution of the people, and we must at all times guard the interests of the people and to make sure that our people have got peace and prosperity, and that this country is going to be governed by us for centuries to come.
Sure. Chief, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this morning.